Hello! Welcome to, today's Wednesday. I already once confused it with Tuesday, let's not do that again. Happy Wednesday, for me, at least. Happy Thursday for you. Things are kind of a mess behind me because I am in the process of making homemade pizza, so when this makes a noise, I'm gonna have to check on it. I got my crust cooking. The secret to a delicious homemade pizza? One, use like a loaf of dough, like get the frozen bread loaves from Kroger and then let it thaw and rise in your house. Two, mix in Italian herbs and Parmesan cheese and garlic into the crust. Three, cook the crust first, utterly completely, and then four, pile on the pizza sauce and everything else and then broil it. That way your crust is cooked all the way through, there's no dough in the middle, and so your toppings don't get burnt while you're trying to cook the dough. So ours is square, and I put mozzarella sticks around the outside and wrapped it in the dough, that way there's cheese in the crust, because Rissa does things right. So, speaking of Rissa and people that use my nickname, had family in town. Hello! Sarah, Kelly, Jack, and Neil are all in Florida and having a grand old time, I'm sure. They loved coming here and seeing the spring weather, which is funny because it's like, I mean, it's like 60 degrees, and they're like, this is so warm! And I knew it was gonna go off. I'm just gonna use my phone as a timer. Anyway, so they came down here and they told me a story, like on the way down, they were driving through somewhere, they're like, oh, that smells good, what is that? And then they saw someone cutting grass, they're like, it's fresh cut grass, oh! And then down here, there was thunderstorms, it started raining, but we had the windows open because it was warm out. And Sarah was on the back of our couch with her nose at the window, oh, smell that fresh spring rain. It was really funny. Larissa is making fun of us, but right now in Hastings it's 34 degrees and snowing. So like, I get it. I remember when like winter did the thing, but it was very funny down here seeing it from this point of view. As someone who's had like the flowering trees everywhere. So they got here Friday night. I have some photos. They got here Friday night and we were hungry, so we went to a restaurant called The Pharmacy, and it's in East Nashville. It is a like gourmet burger place. I say gourmet. It was featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives, and like they make all their meat from scratch, and it's very tasty. I got the Polish sausage because I'm not a big hamburger fan, but like I do like me a smoked sausage, and it was very good. They make their sauerkraut from scratch. It was delicious, and then they had like special sodas and stuff because it was supposed to be like, you know, like an 1890s pharmacy. It was really cool. Kelly loved it. Their sweet potato fries are to die for. Very good. But yeah, we had a blast. And then I took him to see the Parthenon. They thought it was pretty cool. It was funny because Jannesa was kind enough to be our photographer. But it was funny because we were talking about the Parthenon, and so Jack, who is 11, you can see him on that side. I was quizzing Jack, and I'm like, hey, who was the Parthenon built in honor of? And he goes, Athena? I'm like, okay, and who was she? He's like, goddess of wisdom? I'm like, okay. So it shows pictures of this battle up there, and it shows her fighting a guy with a trident. Who's that? Poseidon? I'm like, thanks, Sarah, you're doing a great job homeschooling these guys. And she's like, I didn't teach him any of this. He's that smart. And Neil just thought it was awesome because, I mean, it's huge and it's pretty cool. I mean, they all liked it. I mean, Jannesa and I liked it. So, of course, they liked it. And the boys, who this is their first time, like, doing any sort of road trip, by the way. They're doing it from Michigan to Florida. They did great. Apparently, they behaved great in the car. Of course, I didn't really ask how they did on the second half down because it was another 9 hours from here to Florida. But it was only 8 hours from there to here. Anyway, so we get up early Saturday morning. I mean, I say early. We were out of the house by 8. No, 7. No, it was 8. Hey Google, what time does the farmer's market in Nashville open on Saturdays?
Nashville Farmers Market opens at 8 a.m. on Saturdays.
We left the house and got to the farmer's market at 8, which is when it opens. And the Nashville Farmers Market is a little bit weird because you have like the outdoor pavilions where like they bring in the vegetables and stuff, but then you have this indoor area that's all these restaurants, and it's not just like hot dogs and hamburgers. There's like a Southern soul food place, there's an Indian place, there's a barbecue place, there's a Caribbean place, there's Jenny's Ice Cream in the farmer's market restaurant loop, there's Chinese, Mexican, you can get gyros or gyros or however you want to argue it. There's a wood-fired pizza place, like lots of good food, all in this small little area. So the farmer's market really wasn't popping. So we went to the crepe restaurant. They were crepe. And the boys were really good at being patient, just watching, looking around. still am. So that's Neil. So then we walked around Bicentennial Park a little bit, which has like the state's history of Tennessee from like before, like the first settlers to whenever they built Bicentennial Mall. I'm not even sure when that was. And it was kind of cool to see that, and they had like a World War II memorial and a World War I memorial that were really cool. They had like this giant, it's either marble or granite globe of the earth that sits on a ring, right? Not a big deal, but the ring is a fountain, and there's just enough water pressure that it spins. You can stick your hands on it and like pull it down a direction and get it going one way. But if it gets wet, like you cannot, it's too like, and it just goes. But the boys thought that was pretty cool. And then we went from Bicentennial Mall to the Gaylord Opryland Resort, which is like a hotel that's super, 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 super fancy. And it is a resort. And they have like their own water park there only for guests. And they have a spa in it, and they have all these restaurants in it. But basically it's a hotel that all the rooms face inward in these big open areas that have glass ceilings and hundreds of thousands of live plants. And like a waterfall in one section, and cascading waterfalls in another one, and then a big river in the last one that's big enough that they do riverboat tours, like inside the building on this fake river inside of a hotel. It's crazy. It's also a convention center. So like I was really looking forward to showing them that, and they did really enjoy it. So like here's So that was Neil scoping it out. But we ended up leaving pretty quick. It was packed. And it was like totally packed with all of these cheerleaders, because apparently there was a cheerleading competition. But we didn't really see a whole lot of high school or middle school cheerleaders. It was a bunch of cheerleaders like Neil and Jack's age, and they all looked very adult with their makeup, and it was just kind of disheartening. Like we walked past and there was a mom taking a photo of her daughter, like in a dress, not in a cheerleading outfit, but she walks up and pulls her daughter's boobs out of her bra more. Her daughter that like had to be a freshman, like to get this picture. And it was just like, it felt like it was grooming trophy wives, and that girls need to look pretty, and that's what makes them the perfect girl. And like I saw a bunch of girls younger than Neil like leaning over steps and trying to stick their butt out as much as they can and do a split and like trying to twerk and stuff, and it was just heartbreaking because they're kids. Like I was building sandcastles in our sandbox with the hose like when I was that age. I wasn't worried about making sure that I had enough cleavage. I know that that's really a touchy subject, but it was disconcerting. So we kind of got out of there pretty quick. And then we went to Opry Mills Mall, and we walked the entirety of the mall, which is not a small mall. We went to the Bass Pro Shop, which has an aquarium in there with some freshwater fish, and I got a really cool picture of Jack staring at the fish, which is that right there. Some of the fish were really big. So like, here's a video of Neil and Jack looking at the fish. So we kind of sat down and watched the fish for a while because their feet were hurting, and like it had been a while since breakfast. Then they're like, well, let's go get some food. I have some coupons. And I'm like, oh, for where? So we went to Chick-fil-A, which the boys adored. Of course they wanted to go to Chick-fil-A. It was just nice to spend time with them. Then we went on a walk around Radnor Lake, which is a state park. Sarah was like, I'd like to see a state park. So we found one. It was really warm, and we were gonna finish the walk before the thunderstorms came. And we get there, and there was all these turtles just sunning themselves on these logs. Tons of them. Like we counted one log that had 18 turtles on it. 18 turtles on one log. And then we walked past this boggy area. There's a turtle, I kid you not, its shell was at least the space inside my arms. Like, it was huge! And it had such of a long tail with, like, spines on it. It was like Child of Godzilla or something. It was insane. But there was also a lot of other reptiles sunning themselves.
Fast, so you should step back.
Is it kind of asphalt?
So we made a new friend?
Warm.
The asphalt's all warm.
You snake.
No, Neil, get over there.
Snake.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Snake.
Where? Oh, gross.
There were big ones too. There was, like, we were looking at turtles, and then I was like, oh, there's a snake. Oh, there's one closer. And then when we were leaving, there was actually a third one behind too. But then that was a fourth one that we saw. So lots of snakes in a 2-mile hike. It's crazy. And then we went to Fort Nedgley, which is the Union fortification in Nashville during the Civil War. So like what helped the Union win the Civil War. And there's still like some walls up from that and a bunch of information about like the general that designed it and the other generals that served there and just fascinating stuff. And it's got a really, really, really cool view of downtown. So we went and did that. My timer went off. I need to check my pizza. Getting closer. Want it to be a little bit more brown, and it's still looking pretty pale. You want a nice tan pizza. The sun is moving more to the right. Keep having to get further and further back in the kitchen. Anyway, so we went for the hike around Radnor Lake and then went to Fort Nedgley, and by that time we came home and were utterly wiped out. And the boys were like, can we play Ticket to Ride? And I'm like, yes, please. As much as I just wanted a nap. So we came home, which the boys loved because there is an animal here. Oh, was I talking about you? Come here. So the boys took to playing and cuddling with Mercury. Did you miss the boys? Huh? Do you? He's not sure how he feels. They were fun to play with, but they were also very loud. He's not used to it, but it was fun while we were here. Of course, he kept trying to get on Sarah, because it's like cats, they know when someone has an allergy. I don't think the boys are allergic. I didn't seem to have any sort of reaction. Yes, may I help you? Is this good enough for you? Nope. Are you leaving? Yep. Wait, okay. We actually, in preparation for Jack and Neil and Sarah and Kelly coming over, we got some Jenny's ice cream to leave at the house. That way they didn't have to wait in line for it. It was like already in our freezer. And I also got 5 Daughters donuts, which are the world's best donuts. I have had the Rise and Roll donuts. I know what I say. They are really good. But I don't know if it's fair to really call them donuts. It's kind of like a donut had a baby with the croissant that was like really loose and flaky, but then had, what's the stuff that they put in cupcakes that's not frosting? They put the stuff in the, I can't even think what, the ganache! The ganache! So it's like a donut and a croissant had a baby with ganache in the middle. And they call it their 100-layer donut. And it is so good. So I bought some of those for them. So we had the donuts and then we go in line in the ice cream store because like, we're not gonna go there and just buy ice cream like to take home. No, we're gonna eat some ice cream there. So we're in line in the ice cream store and of course Jannesa has Mercury in his little astronaut cat backpack. And this guy behind us is like, is that a cat? And he's like 50-year-old white guy, balding, bigger. He's getting like all giddy about this cat in his bag. And we're like, yeah, his name's Mercury. And they're like, oh my gosh. And he was there with 2 other guys closer to our age. And it was so funny. And so we're talking to him about stuff. We're like, so what brings you to Nashville? They're like, well, we're here for a work conference. We thought we'd try Jenny's ice cream. We're like, oh really? That's great. Yeah, you're gonna need to try it. They're like, do we need to try 5 Daughters? Because like those donuts look really good. And we're like, yeah, absolutely. And we get to go up to pay. And the guy, Jim, pays for Jannesa and my ice cream. We're like, what? And he goes, yeah, thanks for the conversation and for talking to us about Nashville. And we're like, well, we're gonna go get seats and we're just gonna sit together. So we went outside and we go and sit down and I saw this other girl making eyes at the backpack like, it's cat, oh my gosh. So we go and sit down outside and save the guys some seats. And then the girl comes out and she's like, okay. And I'm like, do you want to pet the cat? She's like, oh, can I? And we're like, yes. So like Jannesa puts down her ice cream and we unzip the cat. He's on his leash and she's like, oh, and they're petting him and stuff. They're like, he's so soft. We're like, yeah, that's what the vet said too. And they're like, is he gonna grow out of it? We're like, no, because FYI, our cat is freakishly soft. Like, I'm talking chinchilla. And he is so snuggable and lovable and overall a pain in the tuchus. Aren't you? Hmm? Yeah? Are you? Are you a pain? He's purring, you can't hear him. Are you? Hmm? So we took him out and let him kind of walk around on his leash. And then the lady next to us was like, it is a cat. And I was like, you want to pet him? She's like, yeah. And so I pick him up and hand him to her and she's like, I can hold him. I'm like, yeah. And then we start making conversation with the guy and then they start talking to the other group of guys that we had. And Jannesa and I have not laughed that hard in a very, very, very long time. So it was really cool. We made some new friends and Jannesa started up an Instagram for Mercury, which is Mischievous Mercury. So if you have an Instagram, you can follow Mischievous Mercury and see what he and his moms are up to. But kind of gotta make all these connections before Sarah and the boys came over, which was neat. This weekend, I don't know what we're doing. I have no idea. Sleep, probably. Sleep sounds really good. We're planning out, we're pretty busy with work. So John, our boss, owner, operator, has the Metro Center location, Tennessee Tower location, and then he is in with 2 other owners on the new Church Street location, which is the delivery focused location for Chick-fil-A. There's never been anything done like it before in Chick-fil-A history. It's the first of its kind. All of Nashville's catering comes out of that one restaurant, but it sparked interest in corporate because it's doing so well. So bigwigs from corporate, the corporate executive committee, toured the DFL today. And amongst them was Tim Tisopoulos. I'm gonna let you down. So he's the president of the company, came today. And I am a pretty big fan of his because he really revamped a lot of marketing stuff and has a real heart for God. And I got to take a selfie with him today, which was really exciting. So that was fun. And I wish I could have like impressed him more. Or something. I was so dumb. Like we pull up there because John needed a cord and I'm driving my car. So I'm like, all right, Jannesa, run in because John needs the cord. So she runs in and there's all these people by the doors and I'm like, they look pretty fancy. Oh, corporate's here today. So I see Jannesa talking to some and she like gestures to me and the next thing I know, Tim freaking Tisopoulos comes walking down the ramp to my car and I'm like, oh! And he goes, hi. And he goes, nice to meet you. I'm like, nice to meet you. Can I get a selfie with you? He's like, sure. So I start to get out of my car, but my car's still sitting in like the very narrow entrance to this place. He's like, well, you might want to park your car first. I'm like, oh, right. I'll be right back. And so I drive and park my car. And I'm just a dork. But he was very nice and was like asking me how long I'd been in Nashville and how long I've been doing that. And I'm like, well, I moved here from Fort Wayne. I was at Glenbrook Square. I worked with Jamie Oshner. And he's like, oh, Jamie's great. Like he remembers Jamie, my old boss. So I was like, ah! Because the whole reason I took the photo anyway was so I could be like to Jamie and Keisha, look who I met! It's just like the one that I would probably fangirl over more would be Jimmy Collins. But tomorrow, apparently one of Truett Cathy's sons is coming to tour our store. So that's gonna be an experience. We'll see how that goes. That's not stressful at all. The CEO of the company toured our store last week, which was stressful as well, because he's known for being hard on stores and like had a 10-point grading system for our sandwich, and big deal. Yeah, big deal. So anyway, I'm gonna finish talking to my laptop tonight, finish the pizza, and then go to, there's a praise team prayer night thing. So, lots to do. It's good, right? Keeps me out of trouble. Makes me so I'm tired enough to sleep during the weekend. The goal is to not spend any more money this weekend. Which, you know what? I can't even say that we're gonna do that because Shazam comes out this weekend. So of course I gotta go see that. I love Zachary Levi. He's a sweetheart and the movie looks fantastic. Even if it is DC, it does look great. I'll have to let you guys know how it goes. So until then, thank you for joining me this week. I hope that you had a great week. I hope that you have a great week. And I will see you guys next week.